So for my essay, I wanted to focus on oil production, specifically pipelines, and how it's contributing to climate change. I started in Nigeria, where Shell Oil is stealing oil from. It's specifically stealing oil from the Niger Delta area, and naturally, the locals have begun revolting back. Um, Shell Oil has been leaking oil through the area. It's affecting the ecosystem, the wildlife. There are spills everywhere. It's contaminated areas where their communities live, so it's not safe for anyone. A bunch of militias have popped up, and they're kind of fighting for social justice here, and that's been their stance. So each day they try to prevent or stop oil production completely. Um, Successful days they can stop up to 70,000 oil barrels a day, which is a huge dent in the amount of money Shell Oil makes off of that. As a response, Shell Oil has pretty much blamed the militias for the contamination of the area. They're saying that since they're fighting back, it's affecting leaks, which contaminates the area. So they're kind of blaming the locals for their damage. Now, from there, I moved on to Kuwait City. Kuwait City is in the Middle East, and it produces an extremely high amount of oil each year, some of the most in the entire planet. They have some of the highest revenues from the oil production, and things are getting really hot there, actually, from climate change. When you've been doing oil production this long, eventually it's going to start affecting the area. So recently they had a day where it hit 127 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the highest it had ever been there in ever in the history. So we're already seeing the effects of climate change, right now. Um, as a result of that was birds just dropping out of the sky, local wildlife just struggling to survive, and of course, living in an area where it can hit that high, it's not easy. So the majority of people use air conditioning, cooling systems to just stay cool enough to survive. But when you have an entire country constantly using that, that's going to also produce more CO2 levels, like it already does, like Kuwait City already does every year, and it's just going to contribute to climate change. So it's this vicious cycle of, they're producing all this oil to get money, but it's affecting the area, and it's making it worse for the locals to survive. From there, I went to Jackson, Mississippi, because I wanted to just focus on the effects of climate change at a really local level. And they saw rain and flooding at historic levels. They've never seen anything like this before. And that's just a result of climate change. We see weather changes more frequently now, and things like this extreme flooding and rain, it's something that might become regular now from the effects of climate change. All the oil production, all the CO2 levels that we're releasing, it's affecting the globe. So Jackson, Mississippi, they had so much water, it kind of just completely destroyed their water infrastructure. It needed repairs to begin with, but of course they never got funding for it because they are a community of color, specifically black community, like Flint, Michigan, as we all know what happened there years ago. So it's eerily similar to that, where this community, it needs funds to fix their water infrastructure, which is easily the most important thing for a community and a basic human right, just clean water. And it's been completely destroyed. There, you can't drink the water there. You can't even bathe in it. It's completely dangerous. So that's just completely unacceptable. And in a year like this, we should have that fixed already. But that's the result of climate change. When we have so many different countries and companies just all over the planet constantly producing oil so long, eventually, yeah, we're going to see the effects of climate change that we all have been warned about for years now. And that's things like the extreme heat and the flooding we saw in Jackson, Mississippi. So that's about what I focus on my essay. And yeah, thanks for listening.